2 days after being sworn in back into the Free State legislature, Mxolisi Dukwana has now been appointed the provincial MEC for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. The move comes after Free State Premier Sisi Ntombela on Friday reshuffled her executive. Dukwana joins us now to talk about his latest appointment. Good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time tonight. What are your priority areas?
Good evening. Good evening. The most important thing is to make sure that we have municipalities that are functioning, because that's the responsibility given to CoGTA, to make sure that proper services are given to our people, quality services. And this is what one intends focusing on, as well as making sure that there is accountability, and also to make sure that we do what we're supposed to do, and with the resources that we have, that means there must be value for money, and the most important thing is to build better communities, and this is it fits well with what we as the organization are committing at the moment.
And when it comes then to municipalities, because you are in a province where the political and administrative leadership in those municipalities in the province where you are was accused by the Auditor General of a deliberate lack of accountability. What then becomes your priority in this? Because I do think that that should be something that raises your alarm bells immediately.
Yes, it does. It does. We cannot allow any of our institutions under the authority or government of the ANC that people should who are deployed to serve the people should actually do things without consequences. So the most important thing is also to look into the Auditor General's reports and make sure that there are consequences and people take accountability. But the most important thing is to turn municipalities around, and we start building, municipalities that are functioning, as that will enable us to build better communities.
Now, when you talk about enabling you to build better communities, but at a practical level, what are you going to do to ensure that these municipalities do what they need to do?
Well, the first thing that we need to ensure is to especially with regard to our democracy, allowing our people to participate, but giving information so that our people are able to participate well informed, and they can actually demand services that they know that they deserve, and they would ensure that as they go on, they hold whoever is appointed as a councillor, etc., accountable to account for the services, but also to make sure that our own people take part in their own development, and that it is not a situation where our people become passive recipients of services, but are engaged properly and as engaged citizens, and take equal part in making sure that they get these services. And also move and make sure that you turn municipalities, get the right people to do the right jobs. In some instances, you have CFOs that are appointed that should not be CFOs, do not have the requisite qualifications, or in terms of the grading of the municipalities, do not meet the requirement. But also you've got leadership that fights among itself, because that's one portion that the Auditor General pointed out, that there is actually lack of political leadership in municipalities. And we need to deal with these issues so that we provide proper leadership, both at the municipal level, at the management level, as well as the executive level.
Are you going to fire them?
we're going to make sure that whoever is serving in this municipality, he has the requisite skills to be there. But those who do not qualify, I mean, what will be the reason to keep the people who are not supposed to be there?
Now, when we look at some of the things that the Auditor General had to say, I mean, if I can even read some of the reports, is that 3/4 of the province's municipalities that submitted sufficient documents to be audited had concerns around their status as ongoing concerns. And this we know, if there's ongoing concerns, it effectively means that the municipality is not generating enough revenue to cover its expenditure. And also at the same time, it owes more than the money that it actually does have. This is a problem with some municipalities that has now left community members feeling aggrieved because they either owe Eskom, they either owe the water boards, or they even owe the suppliers themselves, and thus leaving residents without proper basic services. How then are you going to turn this around with immediate effect, especially for those municipalities and areas that do not even have consistent water supply because of this?
Let's look at the first thing that we need to look is the capacity of these municipalities to raise their own revenue, the revenue base that they have. And because you may find that some of these municipalities do not have the revenue base that is needed to raise enough revenue for them to be sustainable. So we need to be looking at in issues like that. I know of one municipality in Mafube. What it raises and what it pays, what it pays out does not match. So you're bound to have these municipalities failing. But you also have municipalities that have the capacity to raise enough revenue for them to be able to provide services. The attitude is also a problem that you would find, that some of the people employed or people who are deployed, especially in the executive, do not care, simply do not care. But there are others who do not know what they are doing. And as a result, you find municipality in the position that they are. But we've got a very large number of people who are committed, who know what they are doing. But in many instances, could be other issues that we need to deal, as I said, the attitude that many of our cadres have displayed so far. And that is why the president, when launching the manifesto of the ANC, indicated that we must make sure that the right people are employed to do the right jobs, so that you do not take somebody who is not an engineer and expect that person to be effective in the field that is not trained to be in. So those are little things that you need to tweak around and make sure that you bring an element of accountability, an element of making sure that people use resources that are bestowed in the authority in the manner in which they are supposed to use them.
Now, one of the things that even the Auditor General raised is the fact that it takes, on average, over a year and a half to pay creditors. Surely that can't be the norm.
Yeah, it cannot be. It's also very costly, because in some instances it leads to wasteful expenditure. Because some of these people, you find that people can actually pay people within the accepted 30 days, but they don't do that. Simply people don't do this. There is an attitude that is displayed where people are doing wrong things with impunity because there are no consequences. So the minute you hold all those accountable and make them feel the pinch, it must hurt them, because people do not understand that the purse that they use, the office that they hold, is not for their own benefit, but it is for the benefit of the people. And you can't just use the resources of the public resources, and you don't care, and you show total disregard in terms of accountability, in terms of value for money. So these are the things that we must deal with, and this is what we've committed ourselves in dealing with.
Now, when we look at some of the reports that are coming out of that province, we see that the Premier has been accused of meddling in tender processes, and this is in the Police, Roads and Transport Department, and it has led to the EFF also calling for her sacking, when it comes to these allegations. Are you aware of these allegations, and what's your reaction to that?
No, I've not heard of any of these allegations, safe to say during when there was a matter between the then HOD of Police, Roads and Transport deposited such affidavit, but there's not been much in terms of following that. But there's a problem that whenever you hold other people accountable, then there is a counter accusation. But as we have said as an organization, we would make sure that we run a clean government. The Premier is committed in running a clean government, and the Premier has demonstrated that she's capable and she's prepared to make sure that the Free State is run properly.
I'm not sure how capable the Premier is, as you say, because I'm really not convinced, especially, when you look at what has happened in Kroonstad. We covered that story quite extensively here on the channel. She was part of the delegation that had the Minister Senzo Mchunu and his deputy, and they had gone to the water treatment plant, and it needed about 10 million in order for it to, be serviced and work in the manner that it should, and that has been a problem that has left the people of Kroonstad also finding themselves with human waste coming, basically leaking in their homes. And there's also Malutia Pufong, where you see a lack of consistent water supply, and thus the use of water tankers. And others are saying there are serious allegations around the use of water tankers, that others are benefiting from this particular crisis. Now, how is this a Premier that is committed to ensuring that there's adequate service delivery?
It depends also how you look at it. And then I think with the establishment of the IPC, and the support, the political support that the Premier is getting, you would then see a different approach in terms of how we tackle issues and the commitment moving forward. And I think that is what we would like you and many others to judge us on, the commitment and the work we would be doing moving forward.
But it can't be the work, Dr. Dukwana, it cannot be the work going forward. It absolutely cannot be, because when she appeared on screen, she appeared as if she's somebody that doesn't even know that this municipality needed this 10 million rand. And she was even talking with the ministers there to say, you can be able to prioritize this and that. But how did she not know about such a problem? Surely she should have known.
As I say, I will not speak for the Premier, but I'm just saying there are people who are given responsibilities. And as the Premier is sitting at the helm as an executive authority, I agree with you that the buck stops with the Premier. But the most important thing that we should also understand, there is a municipality, and this municipality should also have raised the matter, not wait for you to come and expose that to the people.
Where does the Premier stay? Where does the Premier live, Ndate Dukwana?
The Premier does not stay in Kroonstad.
No, but where? Is it not in the Free State province?
But as I say, the Premier, as I say to you, there are people who are working, there's a local government there, and there are MECs that are given this responsibility.
The reason I ask
so if it does not come to the attention of the Premier, it does not mean that the Premier is not doing her job.
But how does it not come to the attention of the Premier that there's an area of Kroonstad that needs water? This is not a new problem. The Premier lives in the Free State. She absolutely cannot wait for somebody to bring it to her attention that this is going wrong. Surely the Premier does not spend all her time in her office.
Surely, of course, that the issue that I'm raising with you now is it could have, as I said to you, the most important thing is for us to understand that the Premier also, whilst is responsible for everything that is happening in the Free State, she relies heavily on those people that she has deployed. And if we fail in the Premier as those who are deployed, we make the Premier to look bad. And this is what I'm trying to say, that while she will take the blame, but we need to look at what actually happened in that area.
So, Ntate Dukwana, from what you're saying then, the former Premier of the Free State, Ace Magashule, can argue the same thing, maybe then, and say that those that were around him failed him as well, and he should not take responsibility for all of that he's being accused of having happened in the province, because those around him did not bring this to his attention. He can raise that argument, which is why I'm asking you very deliberate questions, because the Premier lives in the Free State. Surely she's aware of the water problems in an area like Kroonstad. She's aware of problems in Malutia Pufung. She's aware of problems in Mangaung. The shutdown happened. She's in the province. Surely the Premier cannot be absolved, and it cannot only be left to those that are around the Premier to tell the Premier about her province.
No. I think you are missing the point here. As I said to earlier on, that this surely could have come to the attention of the Premier that there is a problem with this. There's a problem in the Free State around water and many other things. But the extent of the problem, as you say, when she realized that, might have been the one thing that she was not aware of.
So she couldn't leave her office and investigate the extent of the problem on her own?
But that is why she was there when she was brought in.
But she was brought in because national government had to be there. It was not her own oversight visit. It was national government. So on her own, she couldn't do it.
Are you suggesting that with the people that are given the responsibility, while the buck stops with the Premier should visit all these areas when there is a municipality that must actually also look into this, when there is
I am suggesting that, Ntate Dukwana, because the buck stops with her. Even if there are people that are there, if they are not doing their jobs, she must come down hard on them. That is a province that is still reeling from a lot of corruption. And surely there shouldn't be a situation that is allowed, that we have been seeing emanating from the province, and not then hold the Premier to account. Surely we cannot do that. So that is why I'm suggesting that if she sees that the wheels are coming off, it is her responsibility to go to those people and say to them, you are messing up, and therefore you're not doing what forms part of the vision.
I agree with you on this one. And that is why I'm saying that sometimes you're working in an environment that does not help you deal with the situation. And with the installation of the IPC, it surely has also given the Premier more energy in terms of and vigor in terms of dealing with these matters. And that is why I'm saying we acknowledge the mistakes that we have committed as an organization and as individuals. And surely she would also acknowledge that as a problem that she did not do what she should have done. But as I say to you, we are committed as an organization, as a government, in making sure that we do things, and also that nothing will happen that people will do things with impunity and there are no consequences.
An acknowledgement of a mistake is followed by an apology. Will she be issuing that to those residents that she's failed?
I think she will. And I think as an organization, we have done. We have actually apologized for our failings, and we're committing ourselves to doing better in building these communities. And this is what we have committed ourselves, and that is why we would like to see very strong, dedicated, and capable men and women occupying positions in government, in the administration, that will ensure that things like those in Kronstadt, in Maluta-Pofung, and anywhere else do not happen, but also that people do not enrich themselves at the demise of the people. When people have a challenge, people use that to enrich themselves. But also the most important thing that we need also to look into, that we do not need to put everything on tender, especially in the local level. We need to make sure that we have other responsibilities. For instance, there is a water losses, almost 60% of one municipality losing almost 60% of water, clean water, from leakages and pipes that have burst. And once you have trained enough artisans, young people who are out there and taking these responsibilities and repairing this, you will see that the municipality would have enough money that will be redirected in other areas.
Okay.
So that's basically what we plan to do.
Dr. Dukwana, thank you so much for your time this evening. I hope we have a different conversation as time goes on, because those municipalities really deserve the services that they're owed, which is really nothing short of the function of what the municipality is supposed to provide, especially as enshrined in the Constitution. That was the MEC for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs in the Free State, Mxolisi Dukwana.